Hello, everybody. Welcome to Ruben's Medical Dental College Campus Musings, where we focus on non-academic aspects of trends in college campuses.
Hi, hello, everybody. Welcome to my channel on the faculty development program aiming at the medical and dental institutions across India. Though applicable globally, my focus would be to discuss on the issues that are not conventionally and openly discussed among the staffs, policymakers, teachers, parents, and even among the student community in the medical and dental fraternity in the colleges across India, notably in the private sector. Before dwelling into the intricacies, let us open the topic of today's discussions: why many students prefer or avoid going to colleges. So that will be the today's on the increasing trend of refusal, reluctance, avoidance in attending Indian dental and medical colleges, emotion-based college avoidance, reluctance, and refusal. Let us go into the reality that we face today from the recent Indian data. In a cross-sectional study on reasons for poor attendance among medical undergraduates at a private medical college of central Gujarat, India, we could see that in several semesters, the number of students with less than 75% mandatory attendance as per the National Medical Council or the erstwhile MCI of India, we see that a very substantial number of students have been absent. Okay, of them, nearly a very good number of study sample is in the study. And they responded that self-motivation was their main reason for joining the MBBS course, meaning willfully they have joined. And the cited poor attendance reasons were improper classrooms, improper hostel amenities, food facilities. They related to this. And they passed the burden on the college infrastructure for their attendance. And some said that the faculty themselves, at least 1 in 5, said that the staffs were having a non-interactive type of lectures, boring or arrogant, but they are minuscules. Language was never an issue. Peer pressure was not that much to be a cause of concern. The subject, 1 in 4 perceived that it are boring. The lecture format is boring. But very interestingly, 51% or half of the studied people believed that examination can be passed without adequate or mandatory attendance. So this is a main issue that has to be considered. And the data comes from in recent India. In another study from Northeast attendance, India, we see that the lecture class attendance is about 50%. The project class or the clinical attendance somewhere in the range of 70%, which is very far below the mandatory NMC attendance. But they have maintained to achieve a pass mark. We do not know how. And a lot of students gave personal factors such as attending PG entrance coaching class as the reason for their non-attendance, going to bed late due to studies, preferring self-studies, or mass bunking as the one of the reasons, prime reasons. And I see that these are, though partially or can be accepted to a certain level, is passing the buck on to the system rather than assuming the responsibility. How faculty members perceive their attendance, and most of the staff believe that NEET coaching or the next coaching is responsible for the poor attendance. And that is about 70% of the faculties believed that. And most importantly, around 60% believe that the students are not being penalized for low attendance. That is the perception. And coming to the nearest Telangana, people with motivation, about nearly 80% cited self-reason as interest for joining the medical course. But when they were probed, again, none of the factor here are mentioned to be of self-interest, but a third party, respect in the society, to keep the family members happy and proud, meaning they have joined the course to satisfy others, not to in a willful manner at a personal level. Then the regret comes. About 60% of male regret joining MBBS, and about a third of females regretted. About 40% in total regretted joining the MBBS course. That is a very sadistic or sad trend that is to be noted. And most of them felt at least one subject to be very tough. And the trend is not only restricted to Gujarat or Andhra Pradesh, but also to Tamil Nadu and other parts of India also. There are tons of literature supporting this. And globally too, if you see that the attrition rate is at about UK Medical School 14%, Ireland 5-6, Nigeria 7, Croatia 26, Pakistan 16, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia about 4%, Israel more than about 1 in 8, Malaysia 6%, and a global attrition rate of about 12.5%. But the cost mostly is economical rather than the willful neglect from the student side. If you look at the school side also, the global burden of adolescent absenteeism is high. And there are no data from a lot of countries across the world. But still, up to 40% of the school-going population has chronic absenteeism demonstrated or recorded in literature. And there are several tons of reasons and factors for this phenomenon. And I restrict this work to parental influence, their aspects, and sanctions as the cause for this college reluctance, avoidance, and refusal syndrome. So we will discuss this on what is this phenomenon, the reasons and risks, the parental dimensions, what are the possible remedies as far as I know from my 20 years of interaction with these children, the vulnerabilities, and willing to take up questions at the video. What is this? What is college refusal, avoidance, reluctance? It is a pattern of behaviors indicating that a young person, adolescent, is not attending college due to underlying emotional reasons, not financial, not physical. These reasons can be due to the factors within or outside the college environment and should not be mistaken for truancy. So the terminologies that I would like to clarify before I go into further things is the refusal, avoidance, reluctance, truancy. What is refusal? Refusal is the action or words indicating that one doesn't want to accept or acknowledge that something is real or happening. He just ignores. He is refusing to understand and take up the scenario, meaning it is the worst form of the syndrome, the end of the symptoms. Avoidance. The student is trying to stay away things, make up some stories, cock and bull stories, because he wants to avoid uncomfortable situations. Reluctance. When they are not fully accepting, very common in dental colleges. The child would have dreamt for medical college, but the parental abilities and the mark they scored will be making them only eligible for dental, and the child is reluctant to attend the college. Then there is another group called as truancy, where there is a habitual absence without permission, without the knowledge of parent. So with this background, we go into two terminologies, college alienation and alienation from learning. A college alienation is a set of negative attitudes towards the entire system of college. A child may not like dental, only like MBBS, but the situation warrants them to put in only dental. So he has, in his fullest cognitive and affective element, refuses, he alienates from the college. The child may have an affiliation or a love towards engineering, towards some form of arts, towards some cinema, towards some art form. The parental pressures puts them into the medical dental colleges and they feel alienated from the college. In this, the cognitive dimensions relate to the youth's appraisal or understanding of the college environment, while the affective dimension relate to their feeling. So it could be either the college factor or the child's factor himself. And these two together forms or develops a negative attitude which change over time in most of the cases. By second year or third year, the child starts to love the college, accepts it and proceeds. But for the rest of them, they solidify. It turns into a disposition and he is completely alienated. Then there is another subset of people who is alienated entirely from learning itself. They lack the enjoyment and interest in learning per se itself. They have interest in other pursuits of life. They don't want to be a lifelong learner and they start to experience boredom in the entire learning process and keeps away from the college. So these two I am ignoring for this kind of lecture. Now we need to rule out truancy, college refusal spectrum and truancy. Here motivation is caused by an emotional distress. He is not being at college and loves being at home. The goal is not to avoid college, but he is not comfortable at college. But the truancy, sneaky absences. The child in a good manner starts from college, starts from house or hostel, but does not reach the college. Because the absenteeism is motivated by pleasure-seeking behavior, not anxiety-based, and there is no emotional involvement. The associated features in college refusal has some element of mental disturbance. Could be a separation, generalized anxiety, social anxiety, somatic or depression, but not related to academic ability. Whereas truancy is linked with delinquency, academic problems, social problems, and other substance abuse related issues. Parental role, college refusal, parent is aware that the child is not attending. The child makes sure that the parent is well informed, whereas truancy, the child conceals his absence from the parent, right? Then the reasons for this behavior and the risks associated. We would say the most reasonable excuses to miss a college is acute health issues, extreme medical conditions precipitating, including peptic ulcers, some family emergencies, be death, illness, or any form of family urgencies, or acute financial or societal obligations such as marriages in the extended family, etc. And sometimes impending holiday season also causes some reluctance, refusal, and avoidance in the college, but they are very acute conditions. In my observation over the years, the reluctance, avoidance, refusal has diverse in presentation. The behavior is diverse in presentation, but they are extremely visible and we see a pattern. Most of them, batch after batch, demonstrate the same kind of behavior. These children are persistent latecomers and often leave the college campus unauthorized. And these patterns of absence are around a trigger point, especially transitions, around when they shift from first year to second year or second year to third year, and specific classes, test periods, or assessment cycles. The subtlest behavior is regular intermittent periods of self-certified absence without the parental notifications. So that is a very behavior we have to observe. And at this point of time, the staff should differentiate between worry and fear. So what is worry? Worry is apprehension and thought, which is just focusing on possibilities of a negative outcome in the future. The content and complexity of the worry increases with the age and the capacity of the individual student. Generally, all medical dental students have some element of worry in their career always, because the future is uncertain. The fear component. Fear is a response to a threat or danger. It is most often perceived in the campuses as actual or impending. They decline with age, with the experience, and change from immediate and tangible concern to anticipatory and less tangible over the period of time. Initially, the child in the first classes may have fear, but later may turn into worry. So this is a spectrum. So the staff should need to differentiate the child to have worry or fear. Going back to the behaviors, some of the students, extreme cases of school avoidance, reluctance, or college avoidance, reluctance behavior demonstrate being entirely absent from college, citing ill health with or without excuse. They attend college but leaves during the day. They attend college but skip some classes. They happily go to college but feel an emotional difficulty while getting inside. They become distressed during the day, during some classes, that leads to pleas for going home with or without permission. And some of them present with psychosomatic complaints such as headache, shivering, or cough, irritation, headache, stomachache, and all these kind of psychosomatic complaints. So while not attending, whose responsibility? The students and parents tend to report that it is a college-related factors that being the leading cause of non-attendance by the student, whereas the staff blames the same on the child and their family context. But each one of them have a mutual responsibility. When a student is absent, it is the duty of the staff to talk to the parent, explore the phenomenon. And it is duty of the parent to assist the staff to solve the issue and not passing the buck from the staff to the student or staff to parent or student to parent. That is not the positive way to solve the issue at hand. The evolution of this avoidance spectrum not only comes from college, but it emanates from school. The parent should have missed it. There will be pleas for non-attendance, but attend schools. Little pushing up from the mother. They show the behavior in the morning to try and avoid the college or the school. They tend to go to the school or college repeatedly late, but will attend the school or the college. They will try to have periodic absences or skipping of lessons, and such repeated absence or classes skipping, then they get themselves promoted to complete absence during one particular period, missing of anatomy or physiology classes of the entire school year. Then the entire college or school itself is being gone. So this is an evolution that is happening, and the staff or the parent has to observe from close quarters this development. Most of these characters, students with refusal, avoidance, reluctance behavior have some or milder forms of psychiatric behavior such as separation anxiety disorder, generalized anxiety disorder, oppositional defiant, major depressive, phobias, contact, some panic disorders, minor quality which can be easily managed with psychotherapy or cognitive behavioral therapy, or in rarest of the rare cases with some medications. Reluctance. The first one is the student use this as a tool of escape from college situations that cause distress, especially academic, social. Or they use it as an escape tool from escaping from unpleasant social or performance situations other than academics. Or to gain attention from others, notably from parents or from their colleagues or even from teachers. Or most importantly, to pursue fun activities outside of college. So the categories why the students indulge in avoidance, refusal, and reluctance is either one of this. And this behavior starts at school itself. If the mother or the parents had been little careful or the teachers had been little careful, we would have identified the source of the avoidance or escapism or attention or rewards, why this happens, and treat it accordingly using milder form of therapy such as psychoeducation, desensitization, self-reinforcement, cognitive therapies or psychotherapies, and get it corrected. But unfortunately, when they land at college, they have an established pattern. And this does not happen overnight like a headache or a fever or malaria. It happens with the reward over challenge, and they get acclimatization and happens over a period of time. Okay, so this is happens since time they start to go to school, and it is a careful parent or a teacher, a community worker who avoids or identifies the problems and gives the solutions. And most importantly, we are concerned why a student regret joining college, why there is a regret, why there is a reluctance, why there is a avoidance after joining the college or the course. Why do they regret or joining? Because of extreme parental pressures in India over and the control of the parents over the child's educations. And they regret of being not or misinformed about the course or the college. When they have high expectations about the course and when they get exposed to the reality, they are not enabled to accept the reality of the society. They are disillusioned by the facilities and the career prospects that the college or the course provides. And this couples with a lack of inherent interest that emanates from what I call it as empty nest syndrome. For 4 years, an Indian medical student or graduate has been under the constant pressure of gaining a medical or a dental seat since his 8th standard. 4 years he has been under heavy pressure. And once that is achieved, there is a lack of interest. It doesn't move beyond that. And that could precipitate the reluctance, avoidance, and reluctance. Then the course itself has immense pressure. The academic pressure would also precipitate this kind of behavior. Not only that, this behavior, emotional-based college avoidance, that spectrum, produces a risk on long term. What? On the learning, the social development, emotional regulations, self-confidence. And that could be associated with future relationship difficulty, difficulty in mastering emotions in challenging situations of life, maintaining or developing positive destinations such as future education, employment, or training, and it increases the likelihood of poor mental well-being in the future. And what are the parental dimensions? That is the core of this discussion. In Indian families are altruistic. The parents are expected to be selfless and often are driven by their own unfulfilled dreams, which results in them controlling the child's life. They live through the child's life to make up for their regrets, which is not new. We are living our parents' dream. And the core values of Indian family and social value is that we put the collective interest of the family over the individual interest. We place a high stress on the academic achievement. We always believe that discipline and authority is needed for correcting the child. Our communication and emotional expressions are different from the Western population. We believe indirect communication rather than direct communication of the West. We talk to our parents respectably and follow the hierarchy through the mother often. And we are discouraged from expressing emotions, like males are not supposed to cry. The child rearing practices are entirely different from the West. And there is always a difference between independence and interdependence. Our Indian family childs are dependent. They are not trained to be independent. And we have norms for socializations and peer relationship. And most of them all, our living arrangement is predominantly from joint families. Today's college students' parents are born in 1970s and 80s, which is shaped by the emergence of nuclear family due to work and financial reasons. We lived through the globalization and economic liberalization. We saw the rapid cultural changes with the rise of visual and social media, televisions. we saw the increasing prioritization of money rather than social values. We witnessed the population explosion. We saw the commercialization of the education, rapid urbanization, and changing social values and societal norms. So they were living through this. And the other factors that could play is the parents' psychological makeup, their depressive symptoms arising from financial, social, work, and economical dimensions, their anxiety syndrome, both the parents and mothers, and how the mother, father, and their grandparents, the relationship, the family function, the parental self-efficacy, and the ability or the role model that the parents provide to the child, and the parental overprotection of the child by means of affection, communication, assistance, always there in the life travel. These all together, combined together to form the parental factors for this avoidance. The other thing is, absence is always frowned upon in Indian culture, especially in colleges and schools. Hence, the parent may pitch in to avoid the stigma, thereby protecting the child from the stigma. And some of the parents show an indifference towards educations, meaning they are not bothered. And our absenteeism have socio-cultural religious connotations. And some of the parents may have technological illiteracy, so that even the information that is passed on from the college is not read by them. All this together contribute to the parental factors. So how are the evolving parenting and parental attitudes affect this phenomenon? Between 1990s and 2020s, we saw our Gen X parents having Gen Z kids, Gen Z kids. And these students, when reaching college, are literally immature, coddled by the parents, always cajoled. And this is a generation that grew up without ever skinning their knees. They are not exposed to the harshness of life. They have never felt the pain of real failure, hence have never developed resilience. And the parents are aware that their child doesn't have the resilience. They are not let go their child. They have always been exposed to the best of the best. They have got stars, stickers, ribbons for everything, meaning they have met only success, never tasted failures. And everyone in this generation that I meet in my college as a staff is above average. And they want their college education and future to continue in this bubble. So the emerging parental styles that I see are the helicopter parents who hover too close 24/7 on the watch, hovering over their child like a helicopter or a hovercraft or a hummingbird, engaging in action like a stealth fighter or a black hawk. Always overprotective parents, not allowing the child to grow. The karaoke parents who try to be the ultra modern, to be very cool, under a false pretense. The dry cleaner parents never bother about their kids and ask others to rise, meaning total neglect. Volcano parents who erupt over to the staff or to the student themselves for minor trivial issues. The dropout parents who ditch their children and do not stand by them, whatever they may do. The bullied parents who cannot or don't stand up for their kids, being they are the most vulnerable. They have experience of trauma in their life and they pass the fear to the child. The groupie parent consider their children to be rock stars and want the staff also to treat the child as a rock star. The commando parents, the strict people who allows the relation to be trampled in front of their rules. The tiger parenting is a lesser version of the commando parent who emphasize strict discipline and has high expectations, thereby creating an academic pressure over the child. The snowplow parents are there and ensure that the child has no obstacles. They jump in at the every available opportunity to protect the child. The lawnmower parents are the better version of snowplow parent. They are also removing all obstacles, but even more proactively, even before the child reaches the stage, they avoid or remove the obstacles. The free-range parents are the careless parents who allow the child to have a high degree of freedom, independence, but no guidance. That is also wrong. Guilty parenting. They know that both the parents work and they are trying to compensate for perceived shortcomings by indulging the children, by gifts, by giving too much freedom. Attachment parenting is another toxic parenting who emphasize constant physical closeness. They are always there. The parent can be easily noticed. They always have their home or the house nearby the college itself. They have shifted their goals for the child. Such parents are attachment parenting. The neglectful parenting is another type of parent who provides no emotional or physical support. The submarine parenting is the best of the best. They stay out of the sight. They never indulge, but are always ready to surface in an emergency. And the periscope is always up. The child may know it or may not know it. But as a teacher, I see or group my parents under 5 group, executive, boss type. They set the do's and don'ts, rules or rules. They listen to the teacher, feedback, follows the input like a corporate boss. Missing in action parents, never bothered, only to pay fees, that's it. The calls from the staff goes unanswered, and they have different set of priorities, which we may not be aware of. The soft-hearted doesn't enforce. There is always a note, there is always a message, there is always an excuse. The child cheats the parent. The heavily involved one, over-intrusive, like a helicopter parent, very concerned, but they have high standards, high expectation, but often the child doesn't perform to their expectations. Then the after-schooling parent, very ambitious parent, multidisciplinary. These parents live their expectations to the child. They expect the child to multitask, have high expectations, and high goals. These are the parents that we see and whose children indulge in this avoidance, reluctance, refusal spectrum. For example, let us see how this helicopter parenting, the most toxic of them, causes this. They have high control, low autonomy to the child, but high support and warmth of love defines the helicopter parenting. They have both positive and negative sides. Positive, the child feels the love of the parents. The parents are entirely supportive, emotionally, monetarily, spends a great deal of quality time for the child. There is no psychological control by manipulation, guilt, or withdrawal. The child has independence. But decision is final by the parents. The negative aspect of helicopter parenting is that overprotection, no resilience, failure to give age-appropriate autonomy or freedom to the child. Child has no resilience at all, has never seen failure, and thereby has no risk-taking behavior at all. So the child at the first instance of failure collapses. And we will have boomerang kids of helicopter parents. I'll explain. The helicopter parents are the parents of the dads or moms, little prince and princesses. They are always there for their children, believing that their child always needs their attention, their help, their insight, their guidance, their support, their power, their network, everything in life. They are always happy to leverage that network and power to pave the way for their child. They are always there 24/7. And they create what I call as boomerang children. The children who has left their home for the college with no expectation, they come, they do the degree, go back, sit in the house with no other options. They have no goals in their life. They return back, they boomerang back to the life. And after doing what they have been sent to do, no goal they don't have. They expect the parents to set their next goals. These are the childs that indulge in this behavior. They have inflated view of their accomplishment. They believe that everything is the true reflection of their work. They believe that they have the top achievers. In fact, they are normal children. But the child's attitude is modified the parents that they have excelled in everything. They have always trouble with faculty who are honest with them, who points out their fault. Pressurizing the staff have a grade or mark inflations. They expect praises and prizes for any required behavior like in kindergarten. They need stars, they need prizes, they need medals. They feel entitled to passing mark and even excellent marks just for simple attendance or turning in an average project or average clinic work. They are thinking themselves to be the most deserving generations. Even if some of them indulges in cheating in exams, they have no remorse. They just see that I feel the pressure to get the result, so I did it. And there is an emotional, unseen, umbilical cord extending from the child to the parent. And these are the byproduct of the system. Now, with the changing social structures, there is one or two child, and the entire families put their entire center of attention on the child. They get the full protection and the entire support of the extended family. They get the best of the best, the grandparents and the entire, both father and mother, everybody working for the child. The finances are pooled, which provide success, and money and success are perceived as security for future because they don't have an extended support system. So the success and money always becomes important. The parents put or want to give the child of the best. So they need more resources. So they work more. So work more, increase in anxiety. That is again reflected in the family. So anxiety, careful spending, overt attention. This cycle continues. And to avoid failures, parent starts to make decision on behalf of child. Because of this behavior, the child doesn't have failures, thereby never developing the skill to face failure or accept failures. The parent assumes responsibility in any sphere of life, academic, social, whom to move with, who not to move with, what to take, what food to take, what financial decision. Everywhere the parental decision comes in. The child never learns from his mistakes. So what happens? The child could take it in a positive way or in a negative way. If he takes it a positive, he takes it overtly positive. If he takes it in the negative way, still there is a distorted self-perception. He doesn't know the reality. He always believes that he is a privileged sense of entitlement. They have an inflated belief on their ability and skill. They believe that they are the worthy of higher recognition and rewards. But when the naked reality, when the staff throws the fact on their face, they are not ready to accept it. They come with a psychological entitlement in the college, and they believe everybody to work for them. And this psychological entitlement may be positive when they say or attribute all successful events to themselves, to their skills, their ability. But if something negative or failures happen, they attribute to external factors like college. Now you understand why most of the private colleges attribute to the non-availability of infrastructures, because they want to attribute their failures to external factors. Together, this positive and negative has or puts a pressure to perform, affecting personal relations. They feel the fear of missing out of their parental attention. They start to develop insecurity coupled with separation anxiety and no resilience. They start to lag. When there is a lagging, they start to hide facts. And to escape from this, they develop reluctance, avoidance, and refusal in different degrees. This together again creates a cycle of missing out, insecurity, separation, anxiety. There is no resilience. So this cycle continues till the child starts to manifest the behavior. Yet another thing is the privilege appeasement. The privilege appeasement refers to an actions or policies of the college that aim to accommodate or cater to the privileges of or advantage of certain individuals, often at the expense of equity or fairness. The privilege, dependence, and rule enforcement can come in any form, or exemption from rules, exemption from attendance, exemption from homework assignments, accountability, which give rise to inequalities in college. The privilege, dependence, and the pressure to appease would come from anywhere, from the management staff, everywhere. But again, this could be also a source of minor sort of reluctance, refusals from certain group of children. We are seeing, or we are gearing up for the Gen Alpha child between 2010 to 2024, who are born out of this helicopter parenting, 99%, and has some or the other form of privilege appeasement which their helicopter parent forces on the class. So, do you mean to say that the parent should not pitch in when the child has an academic difficulty? Yes. How? A negative parenting, when they face an academic difficulty, either they ignore or set unrealistic expectation and goals of the parent, or they get over involved and enabling negative behaviors which have negative consequences. Either the child develops into overwhelming, anxious, dependent on parental intervention and help, which hinders their holistic growth and autonomy. While a positive parenting starts open communication, they collaborate for a problem-solving approach. They work with the teachers. They provide emotional support. They take the help of the teachers, principals, everybody, create a positive reinforcement in which they celebrate the process, not the outcome in the early stages, gradually supporting the child, helping the child to grow and face the life. The children need to freedom to fail because it is in those moments that they learn how to pick themselves up, dust themselves off, and try again, said Dr. Robert Ornstein, the neuroscientist. So what are the remedies for this? Better communication from the college to the parent is the single most aspect. The college should work on the attendance. The parent should ensure that the ward attendance is monitored on a regular basis. The college should be transparent, held accountable, and responsible with the attendance communications. The academic performance or the cognitive skills of the child should be communicated periodically to the parent. The parent should be aware of their shortcomings or the privileges that the child gets, and a shared decision-making phenomenon is put into place. Course correction and remedial measures can be ensured only when the parent and the staff work together. The clinical or laboratory skill also falls into this spectrum. The attitude, affective. The child has an attitude problem, course correction, rekindled necessary social skill and communication, because the child has to live in a community as a medical professional. So all this comes with the better communications. So how this can be done? If the parent or the staff talks to each other, it's only verbal communication. The effort is not there because I cannot be called as a staff. I cannot be calling up every parent now and then. Messages, yes, at 50% or 60%, it is effective. Notice, mails often go unanswered. Some information apps, daily triggers, a daily form of communication. Again, the parent has to read. Without that, this is a failure. So this is a two-way process, not a single process. How to do it? First, assessment, then sensitizing the parent and the child for the problem. Child and the parent has to accept that they have a problem at hand, willing to learn or hear about it. They should be willing to collaborate with the stakeholders, that is the child, parent, teachers, and the college management. And explores the other requirement that will help to minimize the refusal, reluctance, and avoidance. Once the child is sufficiently ready, he should be reintegrated to his batch. So these are the way that the spectrum could be addressed. With starting of assessment, first and the foremost is the parent should assess that there is no ongoing safety threat at the college, either bullying, physical or sexual abuse, or assess for any ongoing medical issues the child is harboring. Then identify the one of the four functions where this college refusal, reluctance, avoidance spectrum works. See what factors are associated with the onset and maintenance of this syndrome. Use validated tools. When in doubt, discuss. The staff should discuss with the student and the parents. Open up the communication channel. What is the problematic behavior? What is maintaining or fueling the behavior? What is the behavior trying to achieve? We have to monitor the attendance. This can happen only when there is a continuous monitoring. Explained or unexplained absences, look for patterns, whether the parent comes in to pitch in, whether the family is undergoing any trauma or transitions, whether there is any threat from the school or college, whether there is social isolation, whether there is difficulty with academic work, whether there is some academic bullying, everything should be, every staff and the stakeholders should approach this issue from an open mind. Again, to remind you, the 4 functions of college refusal, avoidance, reluctance is escapism from college situation that cause distress, escape from unpleasant social or performance anxiety situations, to gain attention from others, or to pursue fun activities. Once one of these 4 functions or a couple of them is identified, the solving becomes easy. The contextual factors that could promote either one of these 4 can be either coming from the student related itself, or parent, or the entire family related, or coming from the colleagues or peer related, or the college management, the college related, or the entire community outlook itself. So you need to identify where this problem is supported, because the medical education, we have 2 stakeholders, the faculty and the student. In the faculty itself, we have 3 egos. The parent, the faculty has been influenced by their own parents. So they have some ideas imprinted by their parents, who are the generation of 1950s and 60s. As an adult, the faculty has undergone certain experiences, his own versions. That is there. There is always an inner child inside the faculty. The same thing is there for the student. The student has gained some traits, some picked up from some of his parents' trait. There is a young adolescent or a rebellious adult inside the student, modified by his or her experience. And there is always an inner child. When there is a conflict between the parent inside the faculty working with the adult, or the adult of the faculty fighting with the adult inside the student, or the adult in the faculty influencing the child inside the students, this combination of factors stimulates an ego. And half the problems between the student and staff starts to emanate from this problem. And this problem could be one of the features for the student liking or disliking the entire process of education. So the role of educator and staff is to identify at-risk student, call parents, try to identify the problem, express empathetic concern, set up repeated meetings if required with parents to problem solve. If required, indulge in a functional behavioral assessment, evolve course correction and monitor the progress. Try to bring the child to normalcy and reintegrate into mainstream. If not, explore options of referral to a psychologist or a psychiatrist for necessary intervention. So how to work with parents in the college? Because parents do not cause anxiety disorders. You have to encourage parents to demonstrate compassion while not accommodating the demands of the child, or being excessively harsh or critical of the behavior of the child. The child seeks the support of the parent and the staff, not punishment. Help the parents to identify mental health services if required. And we have to help the parent to reduce accommodations, because accommodation could conflict with the goals of therapy. Accommodation prevents habituation, limits the opportunity for the child or the students, reduces motivation, maintains escapisms or relapse to the avoidance behavior. And accommodations, meaning accommodating certain demands of the child, increases the stress for the family and the child. And in this context, higher accommodation, knowingly or unknowingly by the parent, is related to the treatment or the goal outcome of this disorder. So the accommodation has to be removed slowly and not suddenly. We should, as staff, encourage parents to demonstrate compassion, but be firm not in accommodating. It should help parents to separate disorder from the student, not the student from the mainstream. We should encourage them to reduce the blame. And some of the helpful and non-helpful accommodation would be for temporarily acute absence would be helpful. Collaborating to take a problem-solving approach will be helpful. Help to avoid strategies and meet treatment providers 1 or 2 times a week. Unhelpful is continuously giving leaves or absences, suggesting alternatives or breaks, and repeated absence is encouraged. That is wrong. And continuously permitting multiple daily trips is also unhelpful. So the strategies that usually do not help include providing advice, reassurance, providing distractions, avoidance, participation in some rituals, punishing behaviors, taking control of therapy, surprise interventions. All these do not help. Believe me, they harm more than the treatment. We have separate ecological model of successful reintegration stage-wise by the support from the family, by the level of the child, by the college, everywhere. We believe that the child is an adult or working towards to being an adult. So the earlier you institute the intervention, it is better, or earlier reintegration is possible. So what are the vulnerabilities here? College factors such as bullying, difficulties in specific subjects, the transition period from clinics, from lab, the test, the timetables, the labs, clinics, the academic demands may be high level of pressure. The transport from college to home or hostel itself could be a source of pressure. The repeat exams, internals, the staff relationship could be one of the factors. The family factors, family issues, change in the family dynamics, parents' physical, mental health problems, parenting styles, dysfunctional interaction, being youngest in the family, loss or bereavement in the family, high levels of family stress, economic, family history of emotional based college avoidance, young carer. The student factors include their temperamental style, their psychological makeup, the fear of failure, self-confidence, physical illness, age, learning difficulties and methods, developmental problems, if some of them are unidentified and unsupported, separation anxiety if the student is a hostile, some traumatic events such as ragging, some gender relationship issues. All this could even trigger the college avoidance reluctance behavioral syndrome. Watch out for the phases. As staffs, we interact with the students right from joining of the college. Remember, at the early phases of the first year, there is a honeymoon period. Then slowly there is honeymoon ends, separation, anxiety, first couple of visits to home. At the end of the first year, there is a thought transfer. The child usually learns to cope. The fear of failure sets in. Beginning of the second or middle of second year, they get integrated into the campus and college schedule. We see an increase of confidence. They become aware of the opportunities, and that is what I call it as the W curve of student transition. In the honeymoon, you see hope, then progressively reducing to shock, discomfort, confusion, recoil, self-doubt. There's a cultural shock. Then there is an initial adjustment. Again, there is a slip where there is a mental isolation. Then slowly the game is understood by the child, by the student. He readjusts to the university and the course demands, adapts, synthesizes, and becomes a doctor. So we should not miss the level of comfort, satisfaction, which goes through a turbulent fashion over the honeymoon and cultural shocks, initial adjustment, isolation, later acceptance, integrations. We should not, when the child is having absolute shock or one of these stages listed here, we should not be mistaking that for reluctance, avoidance, or refusal behavior. We should be understanding as staff provide, but if the behavior or the trend continues, we should take remedial measures. So a staff and parent, instead of hovering, build a launch pad for the kid. Instead of micromanaging either as a parent or a staff, mentor the kid. Instead of rescuing them, empower them. Thanks for listening. If you have any questions, mail me and keep looking forward for any other multiple topics, non-academic related, but essential for campus musing. This is Professor Ruben Tavaraja signing out.